Hey curators, welcome back for another episode of the Yarn Curator Knitting and Spinning Podcast. My name is Naomi. Welcome to my channel where I wax poetic about the things that I have been making. I believe it's been a little over a month since the last time I sat down to record, and I do have a few things to show you guys. I got a couple finished objects and a whip, as well as plenty of yarny acquisitions. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, your jam, sit on down, grab your knitting, grab a cuppa, and let's get started. As always, I do try and include show notes in the description box down below, and check those out for things like social media and all of that good stuff. I am intermittently active on Instagram. I feel like I'm one of those people where I'll post a lot for like maybe a 2-week stretch and then I go radio silent, except for maybe my stories. So yeah, let's jump right in. So if you watched the last episode, you will know that my husband and I recently brought home a very cute young puppy whose name is Bing Bong. I'll insert gratuitous footage of him here. Bing Bong! Anyways, with him, it has been really touch and go with what I've been able to work on, and anything that's like a super sheepy fiber, I can't even try that right now. That is like crack to his nose, and he just goes apeshit trying to eat the yarn. So I've kind of had to put my Humbley shawl aside, and I think I'm gonna frog that anyways. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But yes, as you can see, I am wearing a new, never before seen on this YouTube channel. Well, I mean, people have seen it, just not on my channel. Finished object. This is my outline tee, and I have to apologize, you guys, if you want a little video inception. I keep just looking to the side to make sure everything's okay. But this is my outline tee. It is a pattern by Jessie Maed Designs, and I knit mine out of a yarn called Knit 1 Crochet 2 on their daisy base. I did not bring the skein over with me. So this is a blend of linen, hemp, and silk. I believe it's about 50% silk content and 20 to 30-ish of the other two. I'll put it on the screen somewhere. But anyways, I have knit with this yarn before. I did a sample for my local yarn shop about 2 or 3 years ago, actually out of this yarn in the same exact colorway. And this yarn is part of my new acquisitions. One of my local yarn shops, the one that's like 5 miles down the road from where I live, is actually closing. The owner is retiring, so congrats to you, Alicia, on achieving that milestone. And that means that they have been having kind of ongoing big sales since January. And my parents visited last month in February, so my mom and I took a little cheeky trip down there to the yarn shop. And so I bought 3 skeins of this yarn, knowing that I wanted to make this pattern. I used a little over 2 skeins, and I actually have about, from when I did that sample knit, I had over half a ball left from that previous project, so I just dipped into that. So now I have roughly 1.5 skeins left over of this same color yarn. So I'm thinking about doing, not the ripple bralette, but I'll put it on the screen, one of her kind of tank top bralette patterns, just for wearing around the house. I do have to say, you guys, you know, if you've been around, I live in Florida. It is hot as heck here, and so whenever I can find a warm weather friendly fiber, I usually hop on it. I don't always knit with it, but I will buy it. Anyways, so yeah, I knit this in about 2 weeks, I would say, is about how long it took me to knit this, a little bit, give or take. It is knit from the bottom up, and get my hair out of the shot. And as you can see, it features this really gorgeous drop stitch design that is carried throughout the project. It has a beautiful V-neck detail, and yeah, I'm kind of finished this like a night or 2 ago, and I've been wearing it intermittently since I took it off. I found the pattern to be really enjoyable because it's just in the round as you knit up and then back and forth once you divide your sleeves. Once you join your shoulders or finish each section, that's when the magic of the drop stitches happen. In terms of modifications, I did, once you divide and you're knitting flat, I chose to slip one stitch along the edge just to make it easier when you go back and pick up your sleeves. I just find it's a little bit easier to see the stitches along that selvage edge. And I knitted a little bit longer. So I think if I would have knitted to pattern, if you can see, here's where my shorts are. If I would have knitted to pattern, it probably would have ended more like here on my true waist. I just know with my bust and everything that it needed a little bit more room to travel. As you can see for today's episode, I've just paired it with a little sports bra underneath. I do have like a nude spaghetti strap linen camisole, so if I wanted to wear this to work and not be so risque, I would probably wear it with that and a skirt. But I'm really enjoying it with jeans. It's super casual, really lightweight. I don't feel hot at all. I'm actually, now that I think about it, hopefully I won't have to re-record the beginning of this episode. I'm actually sitting in our Florida room, which is like this screened-in porch. It's all insulated windows. It's part of the interior of our house, but it's like a big sunny conservatory. But anyways, it does not have the air conditioning to our house, is not forced here. We've talked about getting like a little wall banger, but anyways, it's got fans, and I'm just, thank you, Fox app. Does anyone want to know what's going on in the world of sports? I don't remember why I turned on notifications for that. Anyways, I am just sitting in this room, like I said, not in air conditioning, and I feel perfectly comfortable. And I will put in either now or as I talk about the pattern footage of me in various outfits. Yeah, I have to say, for a quick, cute, fun summer knit that I know I'm going to get a lot of wear out of, I am quite tickled with this project. I just think it's just so basic but cute, stylish, hip, whatever words you want to use. I could see myself making another one of these. I was kind of thinking I might, if I knit it again, eliminating the drop stitch in the front and the back and just kind of having the little peekaboo on the sides could be really cute. Oh, I knit mine in the size small. I am not a size small in real life. So this pattern is written with a generous amount of ease. Oh, my asshole neighbors are home. They're gonna see me sitting here talking. Anyways, I knit the size small. This pattern is written with a generous amount of ease. I think she recommends about 10 inches of positive ease, and that's too much, in my opinion, for what I like to wear. For my own personal style, that is too much. So I went all the way down to the size small, which I think gives me like 2 to 4 inches of ease, and that seems about right. I did not gauge swatch, and normally I preach the virtues of gauge swatching. I couldn't be bothered. I just wanted to cast on and go, and I knew I'd used this yarn before, so I had a pretty good idea of it would match the gauge for the pattern. I knit the ribbing on US size 4s, the bodies on US size 5s, and yeah, overall I can't complain. I think it's super cute, and I would like more. More, please.
Please, sir. I want some more.
So that brings me to my second finished object, which is my Magnolia pullover. This is a pattern by Camilla Vad, and I knit mine out of Cozy Colorworks and her fingering weight yarn and Orkney Angora held double. And so as you can see, the two yarns together create this beautiful, lovely fluffy, just absolutely cozy and delicious sweater. I would put this on, but as we've established earlier, it's Florida, it's hot. I'm not putting on an Angora sweater when I'm sitting in a room without air conditioning, which probably leads a lot of you to ask, Naomi, you live in Florida. 1, why do you knit? And 2, why would you knit an Angora sweater? And I'll tell you, there is this unicorn time period throughout the year. Within a 3-month window, it can happen. So roughly between December and February, we have 1 week in which 1 day out of the week might reach like 40 degrees. It actually happened last weekend. It was 39 degrees when I woke up, and if I hadn't have gone outside and tackled so much yard work, I would have talked the mister into going and taking finished photos with me, but the yard was calling, and in that unicorn window is when we do most of our yard work. Anyways, I have to say, you guys, I am so tickled with the finished product of this sweater. I think it is so cute. I just love this lace detail down at the bottom. I think it's absolutely darling. I know I swore off baubles. I could get them done for this. And I do have to say, I didn't find the pattern to be overly clear. I thought there were points where something was lost in translation between whatever Scandinavian language this designer speaks. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I feel like there's something lost between the translation into English. In some parts, the directions were kind of too much information, and other parts, the directions were really paltry and sparse. So there were a few points where I would set this down and I just kind of had to have a little think. Or if I would hit a part of the pattern late at night where it was time to move on to like another step in the directions, I would just set it aside for the morning when I could look at those directions with fresh eyes. One of the modifications I did do, and it was not intentional, is there's actually supposed to be the same lace motif repeated here on the sleeves. I just read the instructions for the decreases for this first sleeve and just went, and then started my ribbing, and then when I went back and looked at the instructions, I went, oh, whoops. So it doesn't bother me. I kind of like the plainer, toned down styling. Yeah, overall, I'm really pleased with this. I just gave it a block the other day. It fits really good. I knit mine with almost no ease, just kind of bang on to my current bust with no ease built into it. Sorry about that. My husband's texting me. All right, friends, sorry about that interruption. So yes, this is my Magnolia sweater, and as I said, I just so love that sweet, delicate lace motif. So yeah, that is my Magnolia sweater. I believe I knit this on US size 5 needles for the body. Might actually be the same gauge as my outline tee. I truly do not remember. Details will be on my Ravelry project page. But yeah, I love the finished object. I have lusted after this pattern for a long time. Not a huge fan of the way it was written, but like I said, I think that's more just a difference in style between how patterns are written, where this designer comes from, and then things also getting lost a little bit in translation. I do also think with this pattern, I know my gauge was way off from the written gauge, and so I actually divided my sleeves way earlier than called for in the pattern. Now that it's finished, I probably could have knit one more round of increases, but then my stitch count for down here would have been off. But I know I started, I think, with a size large, and I ended up knitting to the size small because the gauge was so off, and I just kind of compensated for that while I was working on the yoke, and knowing that for me, for most circular yoke For most circular yoked sweaters, I need about 9 3/4 inches from where the collar is to kind of where the dividing point is here in the underarm. And that's just something that's come with experience and knitting a lot of sweaters. But on the whole, quite pleased with the finished object. I can't complain. And I can't wait for that unicorn day to come next winter. Probably next year, to be perfectly honest. It probably won't be here till 2023. Who am I kidding? Or I can take a vacation somewhere, because I do like to travel in the shoulder season. And so it's when I get to wear my hand knits when I go on vacation. All right, you guys, here we go again. Sorry about that. My husband came home for his lunch break and I had to cut recording a little bit short. And so anyways, I had just got into a WIP. I think I'll start over with that. So while my parents, so last month in February, my parents came to stay with us for about 5 or 6 days. And I know at some point last year, my mom had said that my dad could use a pair of hand knitted mittens. And so I had bought this yarn from Meadow Mountain Wool last summer while on vacation in Savannah, Georgia with my mom and my sister. And I knew at the time I bought it with the purpose of thinking I would make mittens for my dad. So here is the yarn. It's 100% all natural Rambouillet. It's this really pretty charcoal gray color. And so I am doing a hybrid version between the World's Simplest Mitts pattern by Tin Can Knits and a pattern by Andrea Mowry, which I can't think of the name of at the moment. But the reason I'm combining the two is because the Andrea Mowry pattern includes a mitten flap, and so I wanted to be able to add that. And so here's the first one that's done. I still need to do the thumb, and then this is where, and then with her pattern you come down about 2 inches and pick up the stitches along one edge to do that hand flap. I did knit this a little bit too long. I might actually, they fit him. I had him try them on when they were here, but yeah, they're like a smidge too long. I think they should probably end kind of right where the ribbing begins. And so, yeah, my dad has really big hands, and so I was worried, one, that they were going to be too narrow, but that was fine. That didn't bother him. You know, they stretched out to accommodate him. Bing bong. Don't chew the tripod. I'm sorry if you guys bounce around a little bit. Hey, leave it. Mister. So yeah, that's one mitten done. I have cast on the second one. I just need to divide the thumb stitches off. Sir, good sir. Hey, you licking's good, but don't chew. Preferably don't bop it. So yeah, I just need to divide off the thumb stitches and then knit it to match the length of this one, and we'll be good to go. I am a little sad that, I hope I don't mispronounce your name, Rhiannon from the Rio Knits podcast, she actually just released a really simple looking flapped mitten pattern, and she released it after I had cast these on. So if I do end up ripping them out, maybe I'll cast on her pattern. It's called Home of the High Life is the name of her mitten pattern. I know it was trending on Ravelry for a little bit, so congrats. And yeah, I do have to say, I know a few years ago before we went on our trip, I was searching really hard for a flapped mitten pattern, and the only one I could find was that Andrea Mowry pattern, which I'm sure it's easy to figure out or to mod an existing pattern, but I didn't want to think at that moment in time. Would you like to say hello to your adoring fans? Come here. So as you can see, I've been joined by the new co-host. He's much cuter. Thanks for joining us, sir. Good sir. Please don't chew my phone. You can go lay down there. That's fine. That's fine. Anyways, I do have one other whip that I've slowly been tackling. That is my Musselbourgh hat. It is a pattern by Ysolda Teague. As you can tell, it is quite long, quite large, probably ready for decreases. I just need to sit down and do that. As I've mentioned with this guy, it can be quite difficult to do things that aren't just stockinette stitch. And so, yeah, and I am knitting this out of my sister Zoe's hand-dyed yarn, and it is a one-of-a-kind colorway. I think it was left over from that day's dye session, and I might have pilfered it out of her shop inventory on a trip up to North Carolina a few years ago. I don't know. Yes, give me your opinion. So yeah, I just need to do those crown decreases and that'll be done. So that just leads me to acquisitions. I did mention this when I talked about this. As I said, my local yarn shop is retiring. One of them are retiring. Hey, don't chew that. And so as you can see by this giant bag of yarn behind me, as well as this right here, I made some purchases, and I will probably be going back in the next week or two because they close at the end of March, and so I'll probably go back one more time and splurge because it's my birthday soon and that's what I would like to do. So I got a couple things. I'm not even gonna worry that he has a lingerie bag right now because it's keeping him entertained. Although I might be able to swap it with this toy. So this is the first thing I grabbed. It is their house yarn. The owner raises alpacas. Alpaca, silk, and a little bit of sari. It's a DK weight, probably closer to a worsted. And the colorway is called Caribbean Blue. I'll show you the back there. So yeah, the owner of this yarn shop, they raise alpacas, and it's yarn from their alpacas, and it's milled here in Florida. So I wanted to get something really special from the store to remember it by. So I kind of instantly grabbed this. I got 4 skeins of it. I'm thinking I will do the Dustland shawl by Stephen West, although I just saw he released it in sweater format, so that might happen as well. And sir, sit. Thank you. Leave it. So that might happen as well. I left one skein behind. I kind of wish I would grabbed it. So if they still have this same colorway when I go back, I will definitely be grabbing it. No, 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 no. Thank you. In an effort to preserve the sanctity of these skeins, I'm not going to pull them all out, and I apologize for the crinkle in advance. Don't bite my foot. Sit. Thank you. Yes. All right. So I did also grab a sweater's quantity of this Elizabeth Lavloyd silky wool. It is 45% wool, 35% silk. So for me, like I said, being here in Florida, I like things that have something blended in with the wool to make it a little bit cooler. I don't know how well cooling silk is. I don't find it to be the coolest of fibers when blended with wool, but I also don't find it overly hot. I don't know if that probably doesn't help very much. Anyways, I got 4 skeins in 2 colors, so you can see there are these coordinating greens right here. And I bought these right before Jessie May released her Great Gingham pattern, and so I bought this with the intention of making that sweater. Do you approve? Do you approve of that purchase? Yeah? Yeah, you do? Thank you. I'm glad it meets puppy standards of quality control. And so, yeah, that is going to be my Great Gingham. I'll probably cast it on here soon because I would really, really like that project. You guys thought I was kidding when I said he loves cheapy woolly things. And then last but not least, I picked up 4 skeins of this Shibui. It's 100% cotton. It is the tar colorway. Sir, let go. Thank you. So this is the tar colorway. It's like, it's a gray, but it's got some like grungy green undertones, and I have a skein of, already in my stash, of the pollen colorway, which is like a limey greenish chartreuse color. And so I want to make the Miserina by Caitlin Hunter. So I went ahead and picked up enough skeins to be able to do the main color in the body. And this was like stupid cheap for Shibui because it was already marked down, and then it was marked down more on top of that. So yeah, that is my acquisitions, and I also got the yarn to make this tee, as I mentioned. So that's kind of what's made its way into my stash. And otherwise, what's been going on? Work has been an absolute, please don't bite me. Work has been interesting. That's the word I'll use when publicly talking about it on the internet. But it's been going. I'm still working on redesigning one of our historic homes that are handcraft demonstrators work in. And so been working with weavers and basket makers and quilters and all that stuff. So that's been fun. I've been working with my people. And we actually just approved the Weavers Guild is getting ready to have their 75th anniversary. So I was just chatting with some of their leadership the other day because we're going to let them do a temporary exhibit in a different house celebrating their history as an organization. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, we've been using the last little bit of good weather here to tackle yard projects. I'm really trying to focus on fixing up our backyard to make it better for this guy. But there's kind of things going on in the front yard as well at the same time because we're recycling some of the landscaping materials in our backyard for the front yard. So it's kind of like chaos is going on both ends of the property. And yeah, otherwise just working, chugging along. I mean, that's life lately, right? But not much more to report. So yeah, I think that does it for today's episode. Oh, I mean, if you guys are interested in this, because I read a lot of romance novels, but I have been reading romance novels. So I read The Hating Game, which just came out as a movie not too long ago, and I did really enjoy that book. I thought it was really cute. And then I also just started a new series by an author called Amy Dawes. I've read some of her sports romances, but now I'm reading, it's called her Wait With Me series, and it's about people who are writing. The first book is about someone who's a romance author themselves. The second book is a girl writing her thesis. But anyways, it's all set in Colorado, and it's really funny because like they'll describe these places, and I'm like, I know exactly where you're talking about. And I just chuckled when they talked about hiking this one trail and they called it easy. And I was thinking, oh my God, my husband and I, when we hiked that, like, one, it took us like 8 hours to hike, and 2, it was not easy. All I remember is just endless switchbacks over and over and over again. So yeah, that was funny to me. And then I've been reading a few other things, nothing that's really like jumping to mind right now, but if you guys are interested, I'll link them down below in the description bar. And yeah, otherwise just chugging along, life goes on. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I know it's kind of short and sweet and a little fragmented and all over the place, but that is my life right now, fragmented and all over the place. So until next time, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope you enjoy whatever you're making. I hope it brings you joy, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.